Well, hello everyone. Hello. Always have to mute my phone. Hi everyone. Welcome to another edition of Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand. I am super excited to come back and just do another show. I just want to say first and foremost, thank you guys for your support. Like, you guys have really super been supporting me, and I'm just excited to be able to come every week and bring amazing guests. I'm telling you, I get excited about all my guests, right? But this is the deal. My guests are fire. And so the young lady that I have today, she's just good. I just love her. She's good. She's very supportive. She's an amazing woman, but she has an incredible story behind the brand. So I don't even want to dilly-dally, if that's a word. That's an old school word, so y'all have to know I'm pretty old for that. But I want to really get into this show because we've got a lot to talk about. Hidden family secrets that affect our mental health. As you guys know, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to first say, hey, happy May, and then happy Mental Awareness Month, because this is something very, very important that we need to talk about. So I'm super excited. I want you to sit back, relax, get a pen, get a pad, right? Call a brother, call a sister. If you know someone that has had some secrets that need to be revealed, that is blocking up their mental health, I want you to get them, call them, have them tune in right now, because we gonna get set free. We're gonna speak out loud today, and we're going to get set free. All this and much more coming next on Speak Out Loud. Let's go.
You're watching Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand.
About that. See how modest she is, y'all? But let's go. So roasted crickets, I'm like, not eating that.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Every day showing up, even when you don't feel like it.
And now your host, Lynette Jackson.
Well, welcome back, everyone, and welcome to Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand. For those of you who know me, my name's Lynette Jackson. For those that don't, I'll share with who I am. My name's Lynette Jackson. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I am the owner of Roar Media Group. Roar is a digital marketing company that helps its clients speak out loud in the marketplace with graphics, videos, strategic plans, website development. I do it for small businesses and churches. I do it for nonprofits, and I really would love to do it for you. If you are interested in having Roar help you speak out loud with some of your graphics, just hit us up on our website, roarmediagroup.com, and schedule a free consultation. I have something super exciting to tell you guys about, because I got my first brand deal. Yay! My sponsorship. I am being sponsored by Telehelp 24/7, culturally competent mental health care. Watch this.
Hi, my name is Lisa. And because of what was going on inside of my head, I lost my smile a long time ago. Millions of individuals are affected by mental illness each year, yet it's not always easy to talk about. Many people don't know where to begin when seeking help for mental health issues, which is why I logged on to telehelp247.org and began speaking with a therapist who assisted me in settling the things in my head and restoring my smile. Log on to telehelp247.org and get your smile back. Telehelp 24/7, culturally competent mental health care, meeting you where you are.
All right, guys. So if you guys need to talk to someone, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you need to talk to someone, log on to telehelp247.org. They're culturally competent mental health care therapists, life coaches. They will help you through what you are going through. You do not have to suffer in silence anymore. I am so excited to be partnering with Telehealth 24/7. And as we break down Mental Health Month, next week we're going to have Abraham Scully on, and he is going to help us break down the stereotype and help us understand why our children don't have to suffer in college anymore. They can get the help that they need. All right, so let's get started with our show today, because as I mentioned to you, it's a pretty tight one. It's a tight one. It's something that is going to that I actually am probably going to get free from some things myself. But without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others my guest for today, Miss Marsha Tate. Hey, Marsha.
Hi, how you doing, Miss?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm excited.
I know. I'm excited too. I'm excited. Let me tell you why I'm excited. Because every Tuesday, I look down at my phone and I look out here and I see you cheering me on. And I just want to officially say to the world that I thank God for our relationship, our friendship, and thank you for supporting. And I'm like, your story, when I heard your story, I'm like, we need to talk. And I need to get you from the comment section onto the platform so that you can share your incredible story behind the brand. So how are you today, my sister?
Full of nerves, but we just gonna today and shame the devil. So
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it.
we are going to get free today and we are going to shame the devil. So I always ask my guests the 4 clarity questions, and you are definitely, you know, the 4 clarity questions because you and I have both have the same business coach. We hang out on this crazy club at 7 o'clock in the mornings called Clubhouse, Bootstrapping Business and Ministry with Glenn P. Brooks every morning at 7 a.m. Coach Glenn, how you doing? I know you're out there listening. He's out here saying, you know what? I love seeing my people do what they do. And so we met in this club. And I just want you to be able to share who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who do you do it for?
Well, my name is Marsha Tate, and I am a business startup coach, a mentor, and a mompreneur. I also happen to be the president of a family-run consulting firm that helps emerging mompreneurs take the guesswork out of starting their business by planning, launching, and managing their business ideas. I do it because I'm very passionate about helping women understand what it takes to start a business and providing the tools for them to succeed. I do it for the woman who runs circles around her boss but is not paid what she's worth. I do it for the woman who dreams of entrepreneurship but doesn't exactly know where to start. And I do it for my 5 sons so that they too can have a legacy and lineage worth being proud of.
Okay, all right. Now, you make goosebumps come on me. You said I do it for the women who run circles around their bosses. Talk about that, Marsha, because that's fire right there.
I do it for me. I used to be. And so growing up, I had a child at an early age. So I always thought that I wasn't qualified to run a business. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I thought I wasn't qualified. However, I realized that I've always operated in startup businesses and ministries for like over 20 years now, and that I've always had the tools all along. And so just going back to help the people who are keeping their jobs afloat, that their boss depends on them to get it running. Like they can hold their own space in their own company. That's what I believe. And so I believe at one point that was me. And so now I'm here trying to help the person who is where I used to be.
You know, that was a lot of us because, yeah. I mean, a lot of the times we could run circles straight around our bosses and like they wouldn't know what to do, but we were never compensated for, we were never given, given the accolades and the praise for it. But you know what? We're doing it ourselves now, right?
Exactly.
So you have 5 sons?
Yes.
So no daughters.
No, just bonus.
5 sons, just bonus daughters.
Yeah.
5 sons.
So let me tell you the ages, and people ask. My oldest is 27. My youngest is 5.
Okay.
Ages are 27, 23, 20, 13, and 5 years old.
Wow. What a big age gap there between 27 and 5.
Yeah.
So the 5-year-old, was that like, oh my God, whoops? No?
No, over here. And this is every 5 years. He's like, oh, every 5 to 7 years, just 6 years or just about. He's like, oh, well, let's just please try for a girl. And I'm not going to deny him. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like, no, I don't want another kid. And then somewhere around like year 6, I'm like, okay, we'll try. And then so like the new kid will come out in year 7. So everyone except for the second kid are basically like 7 years apart. And
you said the new kid comes out year 7. It's like, oh, we get a new brand every 7 years. You know, you remind me of my mom and my dad. There's 7 of us. I'm the youngest of 7. But my mother actually had 9 pregnancies in 10 years. Go figure. Okay. Yeah, that's the story. Interesting enough, my mother was married. My mother was married at 21. And she couldn't have any children for the first 10 years of her marriage.
Wow.
Could not get pregnant at all. And had her first child at 31 and her last child at 41. And that was me. She had me when she was 41.
No,
but there's 6 girls and 1 boy. And so the reason why there are all those many girls is because mom is just she was trying to get some boys. So she kept trying. They kept trying. And so when my brother came along, it's like, okay, we figured out the formula now. Let's keep going. No. Just 1 boy and 6 girls. So yeah. So you tell us a little bit about what you do in your business, because you mentioned the word mompreneur. And I've heard that term a lot. But for people who don't know what a mompreneur is, explain what a mompreneur is.
It's a mom entrepreneur. And just to kind of take you back, when I first started this business, this is my second business that I've owned. And so when I first started this business, I was doing all the things and helping people set up websites and just do digital work for them. And then I realized that I actually hated it. On the side, I was doing business development and helping my lady friends start their businesses. And so a lot of them just happened to be moms. And so as I got into coaching with Coach Glenn, my favorite coach, we started talking about like what was our unique story, like what got us to where we are. And we have to talk about like our core values and the story really behind our brand. And so the more I got to digging into everything, it just kind of unearthed so many things that I wasn't ready to talk about. And so then I joined the C4 group with Tina More Global. And we got to talking about like really getting rid of that shame and like telling your story and getting out here and being present. And so, breathe, it's hot.
Yes.
When you talk about having a child as a teen, you think that most people kind of think about the shame of like the fact that you have a kid and you're young. And, that's my story. I love it. I would never change it. However, having a kid at the age of, I was pregnant at 14, had my oldest son when I was 15. And so it kind of drives me to help young moms now. And so when I started leaning more into business development, I really geared it towards helping moms start businesses, because I know what it's like to be a young mom and not have enough money. We grew up in Detroit, and so the struggle was real. And to not have enough money and to always think about ways to get money so that you can get out of poverty or to just elevate your status. And so I know what that's like. Having the skills, having the thoughts, having the talents that God has given you and not knowing where to go. So that was one area. And then the next area was for moms whose children were like leaving the house and they didn't know what they were going to do, but they have talents and they want to be able to monetize it so that they can live a comfortable life. And so that's why I kind of lean towards moms as, my main clients. And so mompreneurs are everything to me. They pretty much run everything in their household and in society. And so That's my lane. And so one of the things that I kind of want to circle back to is when I had my son at age 15. Uh, Most people kind of told me like, it's a shame. Now you won't be able to go to school. You won't be able to live your life. I graduated from college when I was 35 with my bachelor's degree. It didn't stop me from doing anything to do. My son graduated high school the year before me, and I graduated college the following year. And so that was like the biggest accomplishment at the time. And so now what I'm doing is like the biggest accomplishment for me to be able to make an impact in the lives of other moms. When I did get pregnant with him, it was not an accident. And so I probably told my mom it was an accident. I hid it for 4 months before I even told her. But I got pregnant on purpose. And as I was going through my unique life experiences with Les Squire, who was the branding coach, it just really hit me and came back like a flood that I got pregnant on purpose because it stopped the abuse that I was facing as a child. And so from the age of 7 to 14, I was molested by an uncle. And so when he found out that I was sexually active, he left me alone. And so I kind of got a glimpse of it when I was about 11 or 12, but it didn't mean anything to me then that he was paying attention to my conversation and I was interested in boys or anything. But when I got pregnant, it all stopped. And so that was really the catalyst for me. And, you know, most people feel like when they're young and they get pregnant, that it's like a mistake. God doesn't make mistakes.
No.
I would never go back and change any of my past or what happened because it all led me to where I am now.
Wow. You just like went right into my heart. You went right into my heart, Marsha, because I'm a teen mom. And so I got pregnant at 18 and had my son at 19 and was married. And I was told to just get married. I didn't want to get married, but I was told to get married to save face, just because I was in this church organization, not a very good church organization, but I was in this church organization and, you know, in there you had to save face. But I got married and I was physically abused. I got married when I was 6 months pregnant. And 2 weeks after I said I do, I was being physically abused, even at 6 months pregnant. And I just wish the day that I did not, you know, get married. I just, you know, because I was back home with my 3-year-old son, you know, back living with my mom because I couldn't take the abuse anymore.
Wow. And
so we are, you know, today's show, we're talking about hidden secrets that affect our mental health. You know, I don't talk about that story. I don't talk about the abuse. I don't talk about the sexual abuse at the hands of family friends, at the hands of clergy from the church. And I understand so much what you said when you said, I got pregnant on purpose. Because at 18, when I got pregnant, it was just like a relief that I was not going to be put in a position where I could be abused by this bishop of the church, as the bishop had sexually abused 2 of my sisters. And I have never, ever spoke publicly about this.
I believe you told me yesterday, we got on a call to kind of get prep for this, and it was literally supposed to be like a 15-minute call, and we talked for over 2 hours. So when we talked about it yesterday, I believe you said it was the first time you ever mentioned it out loud.
It was the first time I ever mentioned it out loud.
That's huge. And so for me, I'm 42 now. I didn't tell my mom until I was 30 about what happened. And so here's the thing about it. I am one of 4 girls. And so at the time when my uncle was molesting me, I had no idea that he was molesting 2 of my other sisters. And so we all got together and talked about it 12 years ago, and then we all went to my mom and told her. And so when my mom got on the phone to confront him because he's in Detroit and we're in Florida, his first response is, I don't remember.
Mm.
Now, if you're not a thief and someone accuses you of stealing things, you say, hey, I don't steal things. If you steal so much that you just don't remember, then you say, I don't recall. And so he tried to tell the people, like the family, that I was lying and it was whatever. And so we just told my mom, one of my aunts, and my uncle, we just discussed it amongst us, and my sisters knew. So as long as we knew what happened and my mom knew, we were okay. Fast forward to 2020, my stepbrother, who also lived with us for a period of time, started experiencing like mental health issues. And then it came out that he also molested my brother. And so my one thing today is that I feel like if I would have said something then, it would have prevented him from being abused. Like,
yes.
I get, but you're not gonna play with my siblings. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And so I kind of like, I forgave my uncle years ago. And so recently when my brother came out with his truth, I knew exactly that it was the truth, and nobody could refute what he was saying, because me and my sisters had the same exact experience and he had no idea. My brother had no idea. And so then when my brother came out with it, we had to tell the whole family. He put it on Facebook. We had to tell like everyone and kind of just keep telling the story over and over. And at a point where when I would talk about it, it would make me feel like I was back in it, like I was 6 years old, 7 years old. And like, I felt like such a small person when I would talk about it. Ever since my brother kind of came out with what he had to say, I've been talking about it ever since to anybody who would ask me the question, not like so openly that it's like I stand on the soapbox to talk about it, but like in certain circles with my teen moms, I talk about it, or within safe circles, I talk about it. And I feel like the more I talk about it, the freer I become. And it's a part of my story, but it's not all of who I am. And I really appreciate you today for giving me a platform to just come and tell my story, that hopefully somebody else can tell their story, similar to how you were telling your story today. And I know that you're not dropping names. I'm not dropping names either, but people who know.
People who know. They know. Now, this person is deceased, but you said something really critical. You said, if I had said something, maybe my brother would not have gone through this. So my sister said something because she saw that I was moving. I was next. And when she spoke, I never heard her speak to my mother that way, because the bishop did not want non-virgins, period. Okay? He wanted you pure as a virgin. And wow. And if you were dating or possibly having sex,
active,
then that was your way of escape. My sister escaped because she married a guy just to get out of this. She just started doing this. But when I was being groomed, and I'll have to do a whole show on this corrupt church and the bishop who's deceased now, because this is crazy.
Yeah.
But I was being groomed. I heard her speak to my mother, never in the way that she did. And I told my mother I did not want to be one of his handmaidens anymore, because it was like a handmaiden thing. And I said, I didn't want to be one of these anymore. And my mother was saying, to a mother in an organization or a cult like that, it was an honor to have your daughters as these handmaidens. I'm going to call them that for the lack of better words. But when I do the show, I'm going to talk about what their really names are and what they do. And I didn't want to do this anymore because I was getting interested in boys. I was like, hey, I was 16. I wanted to date. And I'll never forget my sister saying, if she doesn't want to do this, don't make her do it. And she spoke to my mother so abruptly. And I was so shocked, like, oh my God, the sky, we better watch out because you get ready to get hit with a shoe or something,
Duck.
And you better duck. You don't talk to mama like that. But it was so forceful, which got my mom's attention. And she said, if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't have to do it, because he's a rapist. He has molested me. He's had sex with me. I've been pregnant. I've had an abortion, and she doesn't want to do it. She didn't have to do it. That was shocking. But when she spoke, I had another sister who spoke and said, I know she's saying what she's saying is true because it happened to me. And so I've never, ever, 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 ever spoke this story before. And so I thank you, because I wrote a book in 2011. It's called Hollow, When Everything That Means Anything Is Taken Away. And I teach people in this book to look beyond the surface of what they're going through, to identify the things that have brought them where they are. And so a lot of times people will say, even with depression and anxiety, I liken it to be like a sinkhole. And when you see a sinkhole, you go, oh, it just appeared. No, a sinkhole just doesn't appear. It's the underlying resources that's being decayed, that's inside, that actually the byproduct is the big hole, but the deterioration has gone on the inside for a long time. It's like a pimple. When you see it come up, it's being shown now, but it's the under stuff that's there. It's the bacteria in your skin that's bringing it to a head. Mm-hmm. And so this show is called Speak Out Loud. And because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, we want to speak out loud today about the things that we have gone through, that we have hidden, the family secrets that we have hidden that has affected our mental health. My mother used to say, if it doesn't come out in the wash, it'll come out in the rinse. And that means that always at a funeral, because that person's dead, you know something, you find something out. And we're just afraid to speak about it. Listen, I don't go to that church. The bishop is dead. But why, Marsha, have I not ever spoke about this, about what has happened to my sister? I was saved, if you will, from going into that, because I was being groomed as one of the top chicks to be in this harem of women that he used at his pleasure. It's disgusting. Yeah. So why is it so hard for us to talk about it, Marsha?
It's the shame. The shame becomes debilitating. They start to tell you how, if you tell people, they'll look at you a certain type of way. However, I feel like with this Me Too movement, with people coming out and talking about, exposing their truth, people start to see it for what it is. And the sad part about it is I feel like our society or our culture is full of more pedophiles than we know about. And it's just like the culture of how they groom girls, and it's insane. And so the fact of the matter is, you were part of a system that went on before you got into it, and it probably perpetuates to this day. And so I feel like people speaking up and talking about it will shed light on it, and probably, hopefully, save others from being subjected to it. And so I applaud you on sharing your truth today. I know it was hard.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard because I still have family members and friends that still go to this church. But I don't really care anymore. I just don't care. It's wrong. What has happened is wrong. The bishop prior to him did this. It's just wrong. It's wrong. And it is wrong to be touched as a child, molested, touched, sexually touched, inappropriately touched. It's just wrong. And I shared with you yesterday, there was a friend of my mom's, and my mom and dad, a family friend, who would touch me all the time. And I have never spoke about it. Would touch all the time. And here's the thing, he's dead, his wife's dead, but his daughter was my best friend. And he was a contractor. And he would come over and he would just touch you when your parents weren't looking. And I remember feeling just so shameful. Like, I didn't touch him. He touched me.
You feel complicit. And it's like, as a child, you don't know any better. And so,
Yes.
yeah, so now in my current life, um, at this age, I mentor other teen moms through a nonprofit organization run by one of my mentors, Miss Amy Nelson. The program is called You Mom. And so we
Mm.
mentor teen moms. And so I don't ever wish that I could go back and erase my past, because having gone through what I went through and seeing everything as it unfolded allows me to help the younger moms now look out for signs and things, especially like for their children, for themselves. Like if they come in and say a certain thing to me or respond a certain way, I can tell like
Yeah.
what their background is, and it helps me to approach it with a different type of uh, uh, what's the word? Sensitivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this. They always talk about, marijuana is the gateway drug, right?
Yeah.
Do you think, and when I think back on my life, and you mentioned it yourself, you talked about I got pregnant on purpose. Do you think that when we were abused, because this was abuse, touched, did that lean us towards trying to really get, like, we wanted attention, even though we were getting the wrong attention? We wanted the attention, therefore we went into areas that we shouldn't have gone in. And talk about that, because I see that in your case. I see that in my case. I see that in my older sister's case. I see this in my sister who was touched. She had a baby when she was like 17. She was pregnant. And so it kind of almost pushed us in that. Do you see that, Marsha?
Yeah. And so a lot of times they say that abused children abuse other children. So sometimes you can see it in their behavior. And like, when they say touch the dial, like they'll show you the inappropriate things that they've been exposed to. But also when you're exposed to those types of things early in life, it makes you, in some cases, hypersexualized, so that you're out there experimenting with other people. And so I've been sexually active since I was 11 years old.
Okay.
And if my 13-year-old ever told me that he was having sex, I would fall out on this floor right now. And so just the thought process of 11, like you were just 8, like how does that work? And
Right.
so to have started having sex at 11, to be pregnant at 14, and have a baby at 15, and want to be married at 16. Like, I think I've always wanted to be married and be somebody's mom. But the thought process of doing that in your teens or wanting to go that route is an effect of being exposed too soon
Yeah.
to things that you have no business being exposed to. And
Yeah.
so I think it just warrants paying more attention to your children and the people around your children. I don't care who they are. I love my husband. I don't trust my kids around anybody. Like, it makes that also an issue where it kind of trickles over into my other life, where I don't trust a lot of people. It's hard to trust people, especially with my kids. And even my grown kids. Like, I have kids that are out of the home now. And so I'm like, well, who are you with? What are you doing? Did you watch what you were drinking? Make sure nobody puts things in your drink. Like, and I have boys, and I don't even have girls. Like, it's even worse for girls. And so there are some things that you just want to teach your kids to be aware of and to look out for, because that grooming is a huge deal. And being aware of what the signs and signals are, and like what people do. Like I mentioned, the uncle that yesterday when we talked, I spoke and I said that the uncle who did the molestation, he was everybody's favorite person, but he was also that person who all the kids came to because he always had extra candy and like extra things for children. And I was like, not all people who are in, like, who love children are like that, but I watch people now. It's just different.
Yeah, yeah. I think even for me, I was saved from the bishop. My mom's and dad's family friend touched me, and I know he touched other girls in the church. But I think the last story, and I told you I've never spoke to you anybody. I've kept all of this. This is for my own mental health. Okay, I'm getting free today, and
Yes.
listen. If you're watching today and this is blessing you, please put "this is blessing me" in the chat. We've got some folks out there on Facebook. We have somebody that it doesn't show me your name. It just says Facebook user. Says, hi, beautiful. Hi, Marsha Tate. Valuable V says, I love this. Valencia here to support. Rhonda Raglan says, good evening, ladies. So proud of you, ladies. Thanks for being brave to share this. Dave Glover is watching. Robert Adams is watching. Glenn Brooks is watching. Marcus Tate is watching. Your husband. You know, the last person that I was considered an adult. Okay, had my own child. But the creepy part about this was they did not approach me until I was around 21 years old. But they told me that they loved me from a child. And they thought it was cool. They actually thought that they were going to die. So they confessed their soul to me. And when they didn't die, they tried to act out on this. And this was a godfather of mine. They tried to act out on their feelings, you know, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. So we at times, we keep these things so packed down in our souls, Marsha. So, I mean, I talked earlier about telehealth being a sponsor. I want to put the website back up because it's imperative right now. If you're listening to this and you're dealing with what Marsha and I are talking about, if you've been touched, if you've been molested and you've not talked to anybody, I want you to tonight go to telehelp247.org and get some counsel. Talk to a therapist, talk to somebody. This show is called Hidden Secrets. And so what has happened is Marsha and I decided that we were going to no longer hide behind these family secrets, that we were going to reveal them and we were going to get free. No, these people can't come back to harm us. But that's a piece of me that I'm going to live again now, because it's been a piece of me that I have not allowed to live for so long because I've walked in shame. I've walked in guilt. And I always say, guilt is internal because you know something has happened. You know it has happened to you. But shame is external because people would put shame on you. And so you will be so guilty because they'll say to you, oh, shame on you, Marsha, for allowing this person to touch me. Or you must have asked for it, or you must have worn something, or you must have done something that attracted this person.
The weirdest thing is that I remember as a child, I might have been 7 or 8. I told this uncle, when I grow up, I'm going to marry you. And he thought it was the funniest thing ever. And like now it makes me so ill. And so like, if I ever hear my kids say something, I get where they're coming from, but it's just, people are so odd. Like looking back on it, I can see so many things and so many red flags, but as a kid, like you have no idea what's happening.
But
and
you're innocent.
Absolutely.
You don't know any better. I mean, we're learning about our own bodies. And to have someone touch you inappropriately and then ask you, how does that make you feel? Because that's what he would say to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say how I feel. I knew it was wrong, but I knew that I could not tell my mom because this was my mom's best friend's husband. They talked on the phone for hours. This was my best friend's dad. I just, and I thought, well, if I say something, it's going to destroy a lot of relationships. So as a child, we should not carry that weight.
Trying to hold it all together for everybody.
It's not our responsibility to hold all of that weight, Marsha.
No,
now,
not at all.
You said that you didn't talk because of what? You mentioned that yesterday. Talk about that.
It's going to sound horrible. So when I was younger, I didn't talk because he mentioned something like, if I told my mom, she would die. And as a kid, I believed it. But when I became about 11 or 12, the thing was that my parents my mom and her siblings would always hang out on the weekends. And so every weekend we would go to a different siblings' house. One sibling, kind of like carpool, but for their get-togethers on the weekend. And so the uncle who was doing the touchy uncle, he would let us have his house and he would give us cash and we would do whatever we wanted. Like like sometimes days he wouldn't be there and we would just be like a bunch of girls in the house doing whatever we wanted to do, living like we had our own house. And so it was like everything to us at the time. But the reality was that he would isolate us and he was touching people in rooms when other people didn't notice. And the fact that nobody was there, he was adult was one thing. And so when I realized that what he was doing was wrong, I used to blackmail him to give us funds to have party for the weekend or to do whatever to do. And so at a certain point I stopped because I knew it was wrong. But it's just crazy.
But here's the thing, they manipulate you into not talking. I can recall my sister saying they would get a call and you knew what that call meant. It's your turn. And the girls that were there, no one spoke. You went, you came back, and no one said anything.
But the real reality is that even if they said something because he was clergy, who would believe them? And then they would be ostracized.
But they're being abused too.
Yeah.
But even so they never spoke to each other. And they knew they were being abused. It's the stigma attached to this was so horrifying that first of all, no one's going to believe you, but you were so afraid to even speak it to your roommate when you know your roommate was there yesterday.
Because you don't want to go over the atrocities. You don't want to recount.
Right.
Right.
You don't want to recount it. And it's a horrible thing to have to deal with. So let's talk about, because this, as I'm even said in the post when I said, I know I'm going to get free because I prayed about it. And I don't really care anymore. Yep. I don't care anymore. I just don't want, I have a granddaughter who's going to be 8 in December. And I can't imagine, she's 7 now. And so you were being molested at 7 years old. Yeah. I can't imagine someone touching her inappropriately. I will say this, I will start a prison ministry if I find out.
Listen.
Can I just tell you that? I will start a prison ministry and it will be a good one. We will save a lot of souls in jail.
God knew what he was doing.
Trust me. And so let's talk about things that parents can do, things that we can do to kind of keep the lines of communication. When we start to see our kids kind of fall back into something, how to identify these things. And then let's talk about, as adults, what should we do? How do we be like Marsha and I? And get free. Look beyond the surface of what we're going through to identify the things that brought us there. So let's start with the kids first.
So one thing that I think is huge is when kids, like you say, fall back from certain situations. If you have a family friend who the child loved at one point and then they start to recoil when they see them, pay attention to body language, pay attention to the things that your children say. Even if they don't say things, just pay attention to body language. That's huge for me. The other thing is ask them questions, especially if they're younger. They have no age limit for the debauchery. And so always ask questions. And what was the one thing you mentioned to me earlier about using actual names for your private parts? Because
yes. So yeah. I just kind of did a little research and I found a beautiful website called Bethesda. And it talked about, there was an article out here I read that says, how can I prevent sexual abuse? And they gave 6 things. Number 1 was learn as much information as you can about physical and sexual abuse. Number 2, listen and talk with your children. And that's what we're talking about now, which is so key, is to do that. But number 3 was really interesting. It says, teach the 5 personal safety boundary rules. And that is, no one should look at the private parts of your body. No one should ask you to look at the private parts of their body. No one should touch the private parts of your body. No one should ask you to touch the private parts of their body. And then the 5th one is, no one should show you pictures of private parts on television, magazines, and computers. So in essence, what we don't do is share with them what the true names of our body parts are, so that they could feel comfortable enough to share what's going on. And you and I kind of chatted a little bit earlier about the funny names that our parents taught us. I'm 60 years old, so my mom used to, these are your tatas, and then you have your pocketbook. And she used to say, don't let boys put money and change in your pocketbook. And I'm thinking, well, I carry a pocketbook. A pocketbook should be good. Like, that's where you should be putting change in. But when you call your vaginal area your pocketbook, I mean, we're just getting free, right? It was your pocketbook. And she said, don't let no boys put no change in your pocketbook. Let's just be real about what our body parts are called and why it's inappropriate for someone to, if you will, put change in your pocketbook at 7 years old. Talk about that.
It's important because, like I mentioned to you yesterday, the only time that we heard about anything that was not normal or not about molestation or things that were happening in the house, or were like on these after school specials, because nobody talked. In our community, what happens in our house stays in our house. You don't get free from telling your story because they want to shame you into keeping everything in the house. Aside from that, even getting treatment after is a problem. And so being able to have your children understand what those real terminology, those words are for their body parts, can help them understand when they hear it somewhere else, or like on the show when they're talking about what's right versus wrong when it comes to your body. And so that's a huge thing for me, because we had all types of nicknames for our parts. And I don't even know how I came to understand that it was wrong. Like, at what age? I don't remember. I really think it was an after school special.
Wow, an after school special. So they have some more points on here. This is helpful tips when talking to your children. They give you helpful tips. And this, the number 5 is know the adults and teens in your children's lives. Let's talk about that, because you mentioned, nobody sits on nobody's lap.
Oh no, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. I don't care who you are, Santa Claus. If you marry, you can wife sit on your husband's lap. That's your business. But no child should be on anybody. Like, no.
Listen,
I kind of also that I don't allow my kids to go over to other people's homes. Like, I need to know their family. I need to meet them. I need to know mom, dad, everybody who's here, who comes over to their house. Like,
that's right.
I know that you're not going. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I have, and I'll have to post this one day, but I have a picture of me, my brother, and my sister, and we're on Santa Claus's lap. And as an adult, when I went back and started really, you didn't think anything of it then. We were just, some kids on Santa's lap. The look on that dude's face was so creepy. I was like, he looks like a straight pedophile. But this whole sit on Santa's lap and come to Uncle Bubba and, come to, no.
When they had you call him daddy, you're not my daddy. I've been gone. Like, no.
I'm your daddy. No, you're not my daddy. And I can you cannot take care of me like my daddy. So sorry, or here's another one, a kissing on the mouth. I've seen that happen. And it's like, that's creepy. That's creepy. So know the adults and teens in your children's lives and keep tabs on your children. and
Yes.
and get you talked about something about a way where you allowed your children to be able to talk to you so they could feel free, because most times kids don't feel like they can talk to their parents when something inappropriately like has happened, because again, because of the guilt and the shame that comes along with it. But you had a really unique way of raising your sons.
So I'm going to take it all the way back to the fact that I had to go to counseling a few years ago because me and my husband were having issues because of communication. And what I found out is that because my boundaries were tested as a child, I didn't have boundaries as an adult. And so whenever I
Mm,
asked things, everything was always yes. And that was starting to put a strain on our relationship because I was extending myself for too many people.
wow.
I live in the land of nope, no, no right now. But the reality is, I noticed that when my children don't have the ability to speak their mind, I am challenging their boundaries. Like I'm not allowing them to make choices. And so I learned this through the MAPS relationship counseling and stuff that we do with Coach Glenn, that boundaries are seriously important. And so whenever we have to have like real conversations, okay, so I'm going to date myself. On the one show where they would do the cone of silence and it would come down. So whatever was said inside the cone, there'd be information. Nobody outside the cone heard it. And so with my 13-year-old, because he went through like a little episode of bullying or whatever, we formed our best friend clique. And so with him, if he has something that he needs to tell me, he'll say, hey, best friend. And so when he tells me best friend, he can say whatever he wants to say, even if it's about me, if he's not like cool with the way I parent, or if I said something or made him feel bad, or if I like didn't make him feel like a man, because he's a big 13-year-old now. And so he can tell me whatever he wants to say. And then when it's over, we talk about it, and then we go, okay, best friend. And then that best friend time is off, and then we're back to mother son. But
Hmm.
he feels like he gets it out, so he's able to really like freely express himself, and now he creates better boundaries for himself, and we
Hmm.
to his boundaries. The 5-year-old says whatever he wants to say whenever he wants to say it, and I'm teaching him how to be less precocious, but yeah, he's a good time to happen.
I love the when you said the cone of silence, because it. But I do think that I had a guest on not long ago, Tara Katina, and she is a life coach for kids, and so she was talking about a method of where they teach kids and parents how to communicate with their children so that their kids can open up and talk to them. But I think that it's important. We are running at the bottom of the screen, telehelp247.org. It is the sponsor for us. They're sponsoring this podcast this month, and I'm super excited about that. So log on to telehelp247.org if you need some help. You need to talk to a therapist. They're a culturally competent mental health care company that will meet you right where you are. So, Marsha, let's talk about how what you do can really help some people, some moms, and help them to be able to understand that they don't really have to go through this by themselves. That it takes a village. Talk about that.
The reality is, the more I talk to women in business, I find that a lot of them are teen moms. I find that the majority of the ones that I come across, even on Clubhouse, are started as teen moms. A lot of them became teen moms because of situations similar to ours. And so
Hmm.
find when you open up in particular safe communities that you're not the only one. You're not living on an island. And the funny thing about it is that, like, when I was growing up, 9 out of 10 people had the similar background to ours. I have one best friend who has never been molested, and so she's like a unicorn, and it's just odd
Yeah.
to our group. But it's crazy that that's the oddity. And so
Wow.
the reality is, that you become an overcomer by the blood of the lamb and the word of your
And the
testimony.
word
So
of your
God's
testimony.
testimony, God's testimony and things that he did for you will set you free. However, opening your mouth and talking about what you've been through will also get you that extra step. And so not only will it help you, but it will help somebody else. And so that's
That's
why
right.
showing up to talk about my past, is horrible as that particular situation was. It did turned me into the person that I am today. And so I'm not mad about that, because being able to help young moms or just women in general get free it means a lot to me.
Yeah,
So
it didn't define you.
no.
And I'm going to say this to you, my sweet sister, that, wow, on the other side of your obedience to come and talk about this was my deliverance. Because as I mentioned, I never talked about this. And this was good for me. I never even heard those words come out of my mouth. Like my ears have never heard that. I've never heard the words that I was inappropriately touched. I was sexually abused. And we have to think that, oh no, they had sex with you to be sexually assaulted or sexually abused. If they touched you inappropriately, you were abused. And I never thought about that, but I'm thinking, my God. And so I'm grateful that you would come on and share why you do what you do and the passion behind what you do for teen moms, to help them, to let them know that even if they're a teen mom, it does not define who you are. You went on to college. I mean, you went on to do some great things. We kind of talked about how our lives were parallel, because it was just like, I just thought my life was over, especially after, being physically abused and having to come back home with my 3-year-old to my mom's house. And she said, oh, just go get a job at a grocery store. And I did that. I got a job at a grocery store, and I just felt like, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just, I'm going to get on welfare, and I'm going to do this. And this is my life now. But the devil is a liar. That it was not my life. And I went on to do some amazing things. And that child is one of the greatest people on this planet. My son is one of the greatest people on this planet. And I am grateful that the exposure that he was exposed to, watching his mother or being around his mother be abused like that it did not affect him. And so I'm just super excited about that, Marsha. So I thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Because you set me free. You gave me the courage to speak. And I just thank God for you. And I hope that you continue to tell your story, and you continue to set people free, set women free, men free, anybody who have been, it's not necessarily just to women.
Right.
But if you've been inappropriately touched as a child, and now you've been holding all of that inside of your life as an adult and making some choices in your life that you just figure out, I don't understand why I'm abusing alcohol, or why I'm abusing drugs, or why I just take advantage of women, or why even as a woman, I take advantage of men or whatever. It's like, why am I having these behaviors? Because they didn't really get that settled. It's just been something that they've pressed. I know I pressed it so far down inside of me, but today I got free. I said it. It's out of me, and I can continue to heal. We have Valuable V says, this has been so informative and powerful. Thank you so much for joining us today. She's watching on YouTube, but I'm just excited. So as we close, Marsha, I just want you to look in this camera and just help somebody today. Give them some motivation and some encouragement.
So the one thing that I want to say is that if you struggle with the symptoms from your past, that getting help is not a problem. Getting help will be fashionable, because we're going to make it fashionable. Our community gets therapy. Our community has therapists, psychologists. It's okay to be on medication if you're chemically unbalanced. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to talk about what you've been through. And so, foremost, above all things, make sure that you pray about it, that you seek God about the particular situation, so that when you decide to start telling your truth, that you do it decent and in order,
Yeah.
and that there's protection around you. Make sure that you get you a circle of friends that you can talk to and that will stand by you and support you when you do decide to come out and tell your truth. And so talk to God first, get with your friends second, and talk to a therapist by all means.
Oh, Marsha, this has been so good. Definitely, I want to have you come back. I say that to all my guests because I love it. Every guest that have come on, it's just like, no, we don't have enough time. And we could talk for hours, but I just know that I know by the comments today that you're free and I'm free. And we didn't have to call anybody's name out. And I don't think that's what's important. I think you do need to own your truth and you do need to speak about it. You don't have to put, that person. I'm not going to carry this to my grave.
Yeah.
And I think the problem that we see a lot of times is that women and men will carry this pain to their grave. And this show today, we hope that you will just completely talk to somebody, get it out of you so that you don't carry it to your grave, so that you don't have ailments and you're sick and you have, trauma and things and anxiety. You don't let people touch you. You won't let a person hug you because of what you have sustained as a child that you never dealt with. So I'm just so awesome and grateful that you just were able to come today and just share your beautiful story with our audience today. Thank you.
Anytime. And when you are ready to talk about that church of yours, I have someone else that have two people who I think can add some value to that conversation. So,
well, I think that's going to be coming soon, because now that this part, I've opened the lid, and now I've got to let all the little nasty stuff out, but not to harm anybody,
right,
but to shed some light on the weirdness and the inappropriate things that have taken place over years, and the number of people that have been damaged as a result of it. It's something, and that's going to take a lot of prayer. But God's got me, and you got me. And telehelp's got me, so we'll make it all happen. Thank you so much, Marsha. I appreciate you so much. God bless you.
Having me.
Guys, thank you so much for joining another edition of Speak Out Loud, the story behind a brand. I am just ecstatic that my guest, Marsha, shared. She really pulled on me today. She helped me get through things that I needed to get through to tell my story. And I feel free. I feel good. I feel light. I feel as if I've been delivered. So I'm super excited about this. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that you can join us each week here, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube, and on Thursdays on KBNCT. I can't even say it now. I'm just so full right now. KBCN TV. And you can catch us on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Remember that God loves you. I love you. But most importantly, learn to love yourself. Bye for now.
You've been watching Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand, with your host, Lynette Jackson. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And until next week, don't forget to use your voice to speak out loud.